everyone to Life Lessons for a Time Such as Now. Today, we have a lot of interesting things that we're going to talk about. But before we do that, we want to say hello to our host, Tracy.
Hi.
Joanna.
Hey.
And we have some guests on today. So we have Candace.
Hello,
AKA
Candy. Welcome back.
Hello, Candy.
Thank
Welcome
you.
back. And then we have Desiree. Hey,
Hi,
Des. Welcome.
Welcome, y'all.
Hi, Des.
So tonight's topic is the stronghold of family secrets. The stronghold of family secrets.
That just hit me in the gut already.
Yeah, I think this is a good topic because a lot of times, especially in our generation and our parents' generation, I should say as well, what goes on in this house stays in this house. And, nothing can ever be healed if it's never talked about or uncovered. So hence today you have a lot of problems, or people have problems because they weren't able to deal with their issues, molestation, being a black sheep of the family, and, things like that. So we're going to dive in. I want everyone to just feel comfortable and let's just talk about this. And maybe we can bring some healing to our listeners. Okay, so who want to jump in?
Yeah. Okay, I will. No problem. No problem.
Oh, Joanna, I'm online.
You always ready, Joanna.
I'm online. Go right ahead, Joanna.
You talking about family secrets. That's all I'm going to say parents' generation had. Like you said, what happens in this house stays in this house. I was raised up in that type of environment. Until this day, I'm still trying to get secrets that they hold that affected me and my life to come out. But for some reason, these stubborn older elders don't seem to want to let it go. They want to take it to their grave. And I've learned to let it go. I've learned to share it, talk about it, and hopefully get over it in my own way. Because if you hold it in and you're not sharing it, and even if you don't talk to the main people that you should be talking to about it, get it out. Because then you bring that in your relationship with your mate, with your children, with everything. I'm trying to just dissolve all generational curses in my life.
You better say that. Let me go ahead and start with that first. Let me start with that real quick. That was awesome. That was great. That was great.
Yeah, that was good.
We discussed this topic because Joanna and I had a conversation that was so deep that we felt that we should share this, right? And one of the things, like for me, I did a ancestry.com. I know I'm like, I'm giving people some shout outs. And I did, the family tree. And as I was doing it, I noticed that I'm 5 generations from slavery. And so if you think about it in that context, right?
Wow.
Think about a man being married to a woman who's a slave. So that means he had to watch his woman get raped, beaten, and all kind of stuff, right? Then you think about your children being taken from you.
Yeah.
Or, the master coming in the house and molesting you and your children. But what can you do? You have to be quiet and you have to put it under the rug. So as I started looking at it in that type of context. And I said, that's what happened to our family members, who are older than us, right? I mean, could you just imagine if we pull back some of this stuff? Some things we do know about, but imagine if we really pulled it back. There would be so many secrets going on, and it just rings through every generation, right? And so that's what, for me, it was an aha moment for me. Like, that's what it is. And so, being the 5th generation, How do you stop it? How do you confront it?
Wow, that was powerful. That was
Yeah,
really
that
powerful.
was
See, everything has a root, so like you said, I mean, how do we kill that root? Because again, it's learned behavior. So how do we break that 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 chain, or that chain reaction, if you will, and kill the root for healing? That's good, Tracy. I like that.
you got to
You know,
talk about it. You got to
yeah,
let
Yeah,
it out. I'm sorry,
right.
kids. You got to
no,
let it out. You have to release. And I think this is part of what life lessons for times such as now, what we're trying to do is connect with our listeners. And there's so many folks out there that feel us and gone through the same things. Well, it's time to release, people. Sorry.
Love it.
no,
Go
you're
ahead, Candy.
fine. What's so powerful about that, Tracy, is that you said 5 generations. One generation is 20 years. And for women like us who are of a certain age, that may have been just less than a half of a century.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
100 years ago, 5 generations. And yes, how that seed just continues on and on. And it's what we carry, where things are so private or supposed to be private that we don't feel like we can tell anybody. We don't feel like it's if we tell somebody, then we'll be in trouble with our parents. If we don't tell somebody, then we're not throwing ourselves a life preserver. How do we help? How do we save ourselves? How do we break those strongholds? How do we get the help we need when we're so busy trying to suppress the truth? And for me, I was thinking, I had started writing a book, but I stopped because I know that if I wrote what I really have inside of me, a lot of people would be hurt. So I says, okay, maybe I need to wait and let that generation die out. But then when do I get my healing?
Now, just like Joanna said, you have to
You better
talk
go
about
ahead.
it. I mean, and I'm glad that we kind of having this topic and that we're talking about this right now, because it is Black History Month. Okay. And I think all this ties into what we're talking about. So the first step to healing is addressing what the issues are. And I think with our generation, we're not, even though we were kind of taught that, we're more open. So I think at this point, it can start with us. You know what I mean? For us to start healing so we can, start chopping at that root and then again, pass it on, down the line. So when they get to the next 5th generation, then there'll be some type of healing and closure and forgiveness, and the resentment is gone. Because a lot of people forgive things, but they still carry the resentment and they don't even realize that is the case.
Right. Candy said something that I can relate with. She said, I stopped writing the book because I may hurt the people that I'm writing about, or what my story is. They'll be hurt. So, and then she asked the question, well, when do I get my healing? I relate to that because there's some things that I'm going through, and I feel that if I get it out, that I will hurt the person that is involved in my story. So how I get my healing, Candy, and for others, and hopefully this can help, I get my healing by talking to people that love me. Because right now I'm not strong enough to confront the person that's involved in my healing or my story. So I just talk to the people that love me, and that's how I get my healing for now, until I can get the strength to be able to confront the person and then receive my healing in that way, by letting it go totally. So
Yeah, that's good right
Wow,
there
that
too.
was,
But that was
yes.
good right there. But then when you said healing, for me, what jumped out was, is it healing or would it be freedom? Or
oh,
do the two
healing
tie,
and
right, tying together,
healing and
right?
freedom.
Right. But see, but
Good.
like my thing is, if you're talking to someone that you love, but that truth is still not coming out, right, to that person, is that freedom? Are you really truly free? And I can relate to what you're saying, Desiree and Candy, when you talked about the book, because there you go, taught behavior. Where does
Yes.
it come from? 5 generations, right? I remember my great grandmother. I remember her. I think I had a kid or two before she passed away. And I believe her mother was a slave, or, yeah, I think she was a slave if I'm thinking about it correctly. And so my point is, right, it's taught behavior. You don't say anything. And if you do, you're wrong.
Yes.
The fact that you were victimized.
You heard bringing it up.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So because you're bringing it up, you're wrong.
I can relate to that. I understand that. I'm actually dealing with that right now as we speak. You know, something in my family past has come out, and that was my way of cleansing myself, because one, you got to ask yourself this question. At this point in life, whose feelings is more important? Yours or theirs? Did they think about you and your feelings when you're going through it? Did they say, well, and here it is, I came open about something, and now I'm feeling like I'm the criminal instead of the victim. So I'm a little confused. But I think what comes down to that is their secrets that they hold. Their, back in the days, you can't do that. You can't say this. You can't say that, right? Because what I had to deal with was something that cops should have got involved, but they didn't. You know what I mean? And so my thing is, well, why wasn't the police called? Why wasn't this, taken care of when I was younger? It wasn't. So now you leave it to me, and to address you, Candace, your book. I started writing my life story years ago, even while I was going through what I was going through, because I guess then I should have known it needed to be put out, but I didn't. I still hindered that, put it aside. You remember when we used to have floppy disks? So my book is actually on a floppy disk that I can't find the beginning of it, but now I have to go back with writing it with my memory. But at this point in life, I feel that I've come clean with a lot of things. And it made me feel, as Tracy would say, freedom. Freedom of, guess what? Who am I hiding from? Who am I covering for? I don't need to cover for nobody else. Nobody's covering for me.
Yes.
So it's time. Write that book, Candace. We will read it. If I'm one of the ones that, and I'm not saying I am, I don't think I am, but if I happen to be one of the ones you afraid to tell whoever, I have to bite that bullet. We all have done things in life that maybe we're not so, grateful for, or was wrong. Straight up, was wrong. But in my age that I am today, I can sit back and say, well, if I wronged you, I seriously apologize. I understand.
That's the problem. I'm sorry. That's the problem. No one takes ownership. And like Tracy said to Des about freedom, there's a saying that freedom is not free. Freedom is not free, because if I've done something to hurt somebody else, and I go to say, no, rewind. If you've hurt me and I feel hurt, for trying to tell you, because I know if I say this, it's going to hurt you, then that's at a cost.
Yeah,
And
but what's the cost? Your feelings or theirs?
it's both. And because I don't want, I'm not setting out to hurt anybody, even at the cost of getting it off of my chest. I don't want to inflict any kind of pain on anybody. So sometimes, and I don't know if it's right, I don't know if it's wrong. It's just how it is. And it's not something that I have been able to do.
Okay, here's for you,
Well,
Candace. Sorry. Think about it. How would you want your kids to come to you and you were the hurt? Would you want them to hold it in like you're holding it in? No,
No.
you would want them to talk
Right.
it. You got to
Right.
do the same thing. Show by example, lead by example.
But as we know, some things are easier said than done.
Can
It
I, you
is,
know,
but
guys,
whatever
can I say
happens to
something
you.
for a minute? Can I say something for a
Yes,
minute? I'm sorry
sorry.
to jump in. Okay. And as I'm, you know, I'm getting a little emotional right now, but as I was listening to you all speak, and I had an issue with my mother. Tracy, you know where I'm going at with this. Okay. Me and my mother always had a strained relationship. And something happened during the course of our life where she think I did something to wrong her. And I don't know if this is going to help anyone, but I hope it does. But it got to the point, because my mother is no longer here. Okay. And I know that I needed to address this issue before she left. And the reason being is because I needed healing and closure for myself. So I had to address it. So I would say to you, Candy, okay, it's not about who's right, who's wrong, or who feeling is going to be hurt. Because at the end of the day, you still have to get this out and address this. And I think that if the person is still living who wronged you, then you guys need to address that person so you can have total closing, healing, and closing for yourself. That's all I have to say about that.
You know, that was definitely good, and that's some great advice, Chris. I feel, and I heard what Candy was saying. Basically, what she's saying, and this is my own interpretation, is that it will be a fallout, right? Again, go back to taught behavior. I don't mean to plug, but I'm going to plug. So I looked at this book. I couldn't even finish it. For post-traumatic slave syndrome. And it's by Joy DeGruy. No. But this is it. So when I looked at this book, the beginning of it, I said, whoa, wait, whoa. It was too heavy for me. I go, whoa. But as I read the middle of it, I couldn't do the beginning, and I'm still gonna read it when I'm ready, when I can handle it.
Right.
It really helped me to understand, especially in the Black community, what happened. It helped me to understand what happened. So if you're going to talk to someone about an issue that happened with them, just understand, because remember, 5 generations, that's not long. They may not be where you are. So it's not really for them. Confrontation is not for them. It's for your own freedom, right? It's for your own growth and your own peace. I know some years ago, I wrote a 4-page letter to someone, and I was telling them how I felt. And I got the fallout that I should apologize because I was wrong. I said, I wasn't wrong. This is how I felt. How are you going to tell me I'm wrong about how I feel? But it gave me a sense of forgiveness for them. It released me, that I was able to move on in my relationship with them. because it wasn't about them. It was about my own freedom. Right? So don't look at the confrontation. Oh, no, what you did. I want you to accept it. It ain't about them to accept it. It ain't about them. It's about you.
And let me interject real quick, Candace. It's about your truth. We all have our own truth. Whether we see eye to eye, your truth is your truth. Point blank, period.
Not to mention, if that's how you feel, that it's already justified.
Right.
It's not a right or wrong. It's how you feel. And we're just talking about that just overall with everyone, right? Because there are family secrets, because it is a taught behavior to sweep it under the rug, especially in a Black community. If your wife was raped, you don't talk about it. You didn't talk about it, right?
Yep.
You just went on, right? And she cooked your dinner and you ate it and you dealt with your own inner pain. When you saw your husband get beat up, whipped, and he comes home, because, you know, it's demoralizing, all of that. He came home, you cooked, and you just act like it never happened.
Yeah, that's true.
I sometimes wonder how the way we was, and I can speak for I think half of us on this panel, the way we was raised and very boisterous, that now we gotten older, we're more timid to who feelings we hurt. But no one was timid back then on our feelings. And there's ways you can do it without, say, hurting or, you know, but that's at my closing. Can't give away too much, but it can be done.
Yeah. And, you know, the main points is like we've been pointing out, you know, to me, it's not a right or wrong thing. If this is how we feel, no one's ever wrong for how they feel, because we all have feelings, whether we agree with them or not, you know. But Tracy is like spot on with that, you know, the slave mentality thing and all of that stuff. And I think that we are mature enough, wise enough, and educated enough to be able to address these issues, to have them resolved, or to get them resolved, or to start healing anyway. I mean, life is not easy. So sometimes we have to have hard conversations, just to get to the other side, if you will.
You know, but I think also that what it's about, you know, I think about Christ, right? And they say he's of truth. He's of truth, right? Could you imagine if you have a mirror and you see all of your truths? It's kind of hard to digest. It's kind of, sometimes when my kids talk to me, well, mommy, you did this and that, and mommy, and I felt this and that, that thing hurt. Because you don't want to hurt your children. You're probably going through your own thing. But that's the truth. And in order to break some of those strongholds, you got to take those lickings and keep on ticking. You got to take them lickings and say, hey, then let's work this thing out together.
Yep. How about you, Des? You're sitting there listening. How you feeling about all this?
Well, as I said before, I think one way of handling healing, if you're not ready to confront the person or the situation, how you can get your healing is just by talking to people that you love. I know for myself personally, I'm not ready to confront the person that hurt me. I don't know what it will take, how long it will take, but in the meantime, until that time comes, I receive my healing through people that love me, and I express my way and my pain through speaking with them. And I think a lot of people are where I am, as well as Candy. That is what I believe she is saying, and it's just not ready to hurt the people or the person that has hurt her. So until then, I guess, Candy, I think you should write that book. Until then, I'll just, continue to lean on the people that love me.
Yeah, you have to be ready.
That's good.
You really do have to be ready. I mean,
you do. It takes strength
yeah.
to confront that person. It takes a lot of strength.
And it really wasn't easy for me to confront, my mother, with the issue, but I was ready, because I knew I didn't have any more time, and I did not want to again, take it to my grave. I shoulda, woulda, coulda. I wish I had a chance to say this. I wish I, did all this. So I was ready. And let me put this out there real quick. It wasn't something I just did. It was a process. I mentioned this before, the issue with me and, with her. So it's been like years. I planted the seed and I would go back and water it. I planted the seed, I would go back and water. I planted the seed. And then when the time came, then I was ready. She wasn't quite ready to hear it, but she was more ready and willing more than she was before, because it was something that I had already planted and went back and watered. So
nice.
I do understand that, and I do respect the fact you do have to be ready. But plant that seed if you haven't already done so. Find a way to plant the seed, then go back and water it.
Thank you, Crystal, for that takeaway. Des, can we get a takeaway from you for our listeners? Give us a takeaway.
My takeaway is what Crystal just said, the process. You can't rush yourself. Just if you're comfortable with planting a seed, plant the seed. If not, just know the day will come. It's a process. Be kind to yourself, and you'll know when you're ready.
Amen to that.
That's true.
Yeah, that was good.
That was good, Des.
That was. Candace, can you give us a takeaway for our listeners?
Sure. So recently I started going to counseling, and because the burden of not being able to just carrying that weight, it got to be too heavy. So I realized I was dealing with a lot of depression because of it. And that's the problem with secrets. When you're holding on to those secrets for so long, it starts to, get so heavy and weigh you down. So I went to my mother and I said to her, I says, Mommy, listen, I'm going to counseling and I'm going to need to come to you at some point to, get some clarity on some things, because we see things one way, and just because we see it one way, it doesn't mean that that's how it actually was. So I said, but what I need you to always remember is that it's not about you, it's about my healing. So it's, what I say, it may not be comfortable for you, but please, if you love me like you say you do, just give me the what I need for that clarity. Just give that to me. So that's what I learned.
Yes.
That's good. That was good, Candy.
That was good. Tracy, can you have any giveaways?
Wow, just give me a minute, because I'm just like, oof, that was good right there. Hold on.
That was.
Let me just get a minute. So I'm still gonna plug this book in, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And I too see a therapist. Like what Desiree said, I do talk to the people that I love and I trust, because you have to trust the person who you're talking to. I also have to say that when Juwan and I had our conversation, I was in awe. I was in awe of her. I was inspired, and I don't want to get emotional. I was inspired by her because it took courage,
strength, courage
to do what she did and accepted the fallout.
Yes, and to accept the fallout.
And accept the fallout. because it wasn't about them. It was about her and her healing,
Joanna,
and her growth. And I can't say it enough. I did write that 4-page letter. It was many years ago, but there's layers, of course, right? There's layers. And, did I bring out everything? No, because you still always think about that person, and because it's taught behavior, right? You don't want to hurt them, but you're not even thinking about yourself. But when I heard Joanna, that thing there inspired me. And I just wanted to say that publicly.
Thank you.
That inspired me.
Yeah, that fallout.
Yeah, that I think Crystal said it. It's a process, right?
Yes.
So in the process for me was, and this is ways that you can begin to, confront. And the process to me was, I have a book that I sit down, and when I'm feeling a certain way, if something comes to my mind, it could be something that happened ages ago, something that happened yesterday. I sit down and I write literally my feelings. I write it down, how I feel, what I feel will rectify the situation. And even if I have to curse in it, like this made me feel like A, B, C, D, whatever. And then after I'm done writing it, I take it and I burn it because I already put it out there.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
So once I burn it, it took my process was doing that. My process be, like you said, speaking to someone. I haven't started seeing a therapist. Yes, I do think sometimes I need one. And I'm about to reach out to one, which is fine because I don't mind but when the situation, when I was able to confront the person with the situation, it was like once the main thing came out, everything else flowed. Everything else, like God said to me, this is your time. And when I let it go, I made it clear, I'm not bringing this to you to hurt you. I'm not bringing it to you to expect anything to be done, because you can't do nothing now. It's too late. It's over. I just wanted clarity. I just wanted the understanding that you knew. You knew. And you did nothing.
Jeez.
Wow.
So it's okay. So when it all came out, when I say I felt like it was a house on my shoulders, that house was just lifted. And now, okay, you don't want to speak to me, you want to act funny. Okay, well, that's your problem now. That has nothing to do with me. My problem is letting it be known. My problem is, even if you're in my story, it's not about you. My story. Oh, it's my truth.
Come on and say it.
That's
And
right.
Yes.
I have to say that's going to be my takeaway, that I hope people realize. Find someone to talk to, write it out. Even if you got to take months of every day sitting there, this is what I feel, this is what I want done, or this is what I don't want done, or God. Now, at the end of everything, Father God, please forgive me if for my sins, because none of us are perfect. But just forgive me if I'm not seeing it right. Help me speak to that person.
Yes. Yes.
Let me say the right words. Be there for me. What you think I should say, let me say it. If it's cursing, let me say it. If it's passive talking, let me be that passive talker. But let me not hold it in.
Yes.
That's good, Joanna.
Name of Jesus Christ, our Father. Amen.
Amen.
Ooh, hey,
You gotta do a lot of praying. You gotta do a lot of praying. Yes,
drop that mic.
With that.
Drop that mic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here you go. There you mic. But I would like to say thank you, listeners, and I really hope that we dropped many gems on this show today. And thank you for listening to Life Lessons for Times Such as Now. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you someone that needs someone to talk to, everybody on this panel, we're here for you. You know, don't be afraid to hesitate. Sometimes a stranger can help you get through your situation than someone you know.
Absolutely.
Because they're biased to the whole thing. So again, we're here for you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Wonderful.
Bye.